We have started to record the most recent session of SPCH 1113, Introduction to Public Speaking, for the first summer session. This is Demonstrative Speech Day 2. It is Thursday, June 5th, 2025. A reminder, guys, that from now on we will be meeting on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. So you will have 3-day weekends. We will resume, and I'll show you on Blackboard in a few minutes the way our schedule is going to be set up for next week, which will be informative speeches. For the time being, I wanted to show you what it looks like from my library on Loom. Everything that we have done so far this semester with classes going to session 1 are available, and it's from this location where I am taking the instructor course videos, providing URL links here and placing them on Blackboard. You may notice that whenever I was discussing at the beginning of the semester videos that were being posted from here to my YouTube channel, there were what are known as color banding, B-A-N-D-I-N-G, color banding issues. And this really bothers me because I'm very much a perfectionist when it comes to mass communication and mass media and public speaking. Those of you who are my majors who are taking this course right now know that little things like that drive me crazy because I want to be as much of a perfectionist as possible. So it turns out that there are some technical issues that occasionally come up when something might be recorded on a platform other than YouTube and is uploaded to the platform. So I will continue to take all of my videos that are recorded on Loom, put them on my YouTube channel, even though whenever you see something that might be from another source or from the internet, or when you see your presentations that there are the color banding issues where little streaks of color come through the screen. But when you're watching everything on Loom, it's absolutely perfect. In fact, I will take representative samples of your speeches and place them on my YouTube channel. Those are pristine. There's no issues there. It just so happens that it is an issue coming from my Loom and uploading. You will notice on the screen that on the far left-hand side, I have Amira's demonstrative speech. What she did was something a little bit different, but certainly acceptable. She sent me her link to her presentation to my Prof. James Reppert SAU address in a slightly different manner. So I took her video, downloaded it to my computer, and then uploaded it to Loom. And that's going to be the first presentation you're going to see in just a moment. We do have 4 speeches, but let's go to Blackboard first. This is going to be our course itinerary for next week. Let me make that just a little bit smaller. Whenever I was prepping this before class, it actually formatted quite nicely. So this is going to be actually now the setup for the next week, with Monday, June 9, being informative speech research, Tuesday, June 10, informative speech topic selection, and then the 11th and 12th, as I mentioned a moment ago, every Wednesday, every Thursday will be day 1 or day 2 for whatever those presentations are. So now we'll make it a little bit bigger so you can see exactly what we're going to be working on next week with the informative speeches. Informative speeches are very similar to what we saw from Charlie yesterday, which basically bridged the gap between a demonstrative speech on budgeting, but he also had a lot of information in there that would be more informative in nature. As what I have been doing so far, I will provide you with all different kinds of links to informative speeches. Now, when you're at the course syllabus, keep in mind that when I scroll down beyond the course syllabus and the instructor course videos, which includes yesterday, I have student speech video examples, including one from Summer 1 2024. I'll probably add at least 1 or 2 more from the past few years here, in addition to going to my YouTube channel and showing you different examples of what people have done. That's the best way, I think, to learn, is by watching them, looking at the way in which people are putting their slides together to make certain that from a text image balance perspective, you can remain extemporaneous and conversational. And when I scroll down here, you can see that I took the presentation on how to make buttons and made that available here. I also put that on my YouTube channel as an example of what was being done from yesterday's class session. And I reserve the right to come back here at the end of class and maybe show just a little bit of that. But I want to get started right now by going to the first of our 4 demonstrative speeches for the day. This is Amira, and her presentation is based on, as you can see from the right-hand side, dogs and giving them 3 basic commands. So we will begin. I will take this off of mute. Once we begin her presentation, I will go full screen. And as I did yesterday, we will be looking at this from a variety of perspectives. Our first demonstrative speech for day 2 is from Amira Burns, and it is related to, as you can see here, dog training. Here it is.
Hello everyone, my name is Amira Burns, and today I will be teaching you how to train your pet to obey 3 basic commands. First, you should learn why it is important to train your pet. Training your pet builds trust and communication in you and your pet's lives, which is essential to building a bond with you and your pet. Training keeps your pet safe because it allows them to follow commands and to manage their behavior during various situations. To prepare for training, you will need treats to reward your pet. These can be any treats your pet may like, a small and quiet environment with little room to roam and little to no distractions, as well as patience, because it may take up to weeks or even months for your pet to learn these commands. Now we will be learning the 3 commands and each goal and cue for the command. The first command will be to sit. Our pet's goal will be for them to show us calm behavior while sitting. The cue for this would be to motion your hand downward. The second command will be to stay. Our pet's goal would be for them to wait in place. And the cue for this would be to push your palm outward. The last command is to come. Our goal would be for our pet to come to us, the owner. And this cue is to use a cheerful tone. Now I will be teaching you the sit command. The first thing you should do is hold a treat next to your pet's nose. Slowly move the treat up. Their head will continue to follow the treat going up, while their bottom will naturally go down. Using your other hand, you will motion your pet to sit. But if your pet gets too excited, they will jump up, and in this case, you will take your free hand, put it on the pet's back, and motion them down to sit. As the pet sits, clearly say sit and reward them with a treat. Praise them as well for obeying your command. Repeat these steps in small sessions. Next is the stay command. So now that your pet knows how to sit, you will tell them to sit. And then you'll hold your hand out, palm facing away from your body, and tell them to stay. Taking a step backward, repeating the word stay. If they stay, you reward them. If they move towards you, you gently guide them back into a sitting position. You'd gradually increase your distance away from your pet as they learn to obey the command. The last command will be the come command. You'll put your pet on a leash and take them into a small and quiet environment. That way, if they get overstimulated or bored from this new command, they only have a little room to roam, and they'll only be able to focus on what you're saying and you yourself. You say their name followed by come in a cheerful, happy tone and repeatedly move your hand towards yourself. For example, I have a kitten named Stella, so if I wanted her to come to me, I would say, Come, Stella, come, Stella. When they come, even if it's a little while after you told them to, you immediately reward them with treats and affection to know that they did something good. Now, just to go over a few things, when training your pet, it is important to prepare the necessary tools and the right setting for your pet to learn in, and use proper tone, positive reinforcement, and rewards to encourage the pet to follow the command as well as practice good behavior. And it will take time, so start with practicing a few minutes each day and gradually increase your practice time because training creates a bond with you and your pet.
And when we get to the end of Amira's speech, it reminds me of something that I was going to say yesterday when we had the presentation on making buttons. Because what I want all of you guys to do, and it's got no bearing on anyone's grade, but make certain that when you are completed with your presentation, there is a one, definitive thank you, and two, just count in the back of your head something along the lines of 1001, 1002, 1003. Notice that in my case, whenever I am wrapping up a presentation, I will usually have a definitive conclusion, and that concludes the recording session for today. In the back of my head, I'm thinking 1001, 1002, and then I stop it. So you always want to make certain that when you get to the end of a speech, that you don't cut yourself off. Again, don't worry about that in terms of grades right now, but you just want to practice that. So when you get to the end of the speech, pause, say thank you, count 1001, 1002, 1003 to yourself, and then pause. And then go back and watch all of those takes to make certain that you're not cutting yourself off at the end. So now let's go back to the beginning of Amira's presentation, put the closed captioning on, and check for about the first minute or so if she is speaking in a complete sentence structure. Video playback, video evaluations are extremely important, not to rhetorically beat yourself up, but how can I take my product and improve it?
Hello, everyone. My name is Amira Burns, and today I will be teaching you how to train your pet to obey three basic commands. First, you should learn why it is important to train your pet. Training your pet builds trust and communication in you and your pet's lives, which is essential to building a bond with you and your pet. Training keeps your pet safe because it allows them to follow commands and to manage their behavior during various situations. To prepare for training, you will need treats to reward your pet. These can be any treats your pet may like. A small and quiet environment with little room to roam and little to no distractions, as well as patience, because it may take up to weeks or even months for your pet to learn these commands. Now we will be learning the three commands and each goal and cue for the command. The first command will be to sit. Our pet's goal will be
Now that we're past the first minute, and this is something that all of you need to consider, look at the way that Amira is concentrating during her presentation. If I wanted to be a little bit nitpicky, I would say you probably want to make certain that you stay in the center of the webcam. But like each of our four speakers yesterday, and we did a good job yesterday, nothing's perfect, but we got off to a very positive start. Notice the way in which she is concentrating with her eye contact and giving a really conscientious effort to try to remain as extemporaneous as possible. And a lot of that depends upon the way in which you are taking your visuals and placing them in a format which makes sense to you. Now let's go ahead and pause this, and let's go roughly to about the last minute of her speech. Take the closed captioning off and notice how she is wrapping up her speech. Now, I'm going to be doing this with everybody during the term. And as I said yesterday, whenever you've watched yourself so much to the point that you're getting sick of watching yourself, you're probably on the right track, because knowing what you look like and knowing what you sound like is going to help you in every public speaking situation, whether you're being recorded on video or not. That persona is going to carry with you. Here's her conclusion.
Saying and you yourself. You say their name followed by come in a cheerful, happy tone and repeatedly move your hand towards yourself. For example, I have a kitten named Stella, so if I wanted her to come to me, I would say, come Stella, come Stella. When they come, even if it's a little while after you told them to, you immediately reward them with treats and affection to know that they did something good. Now, just to go over a few things, when training your pet, it is important to prepare the necessary tools and the right setting for your pet to learn in, and use proper tone, positive reinforcement, and rewards to encourage the pet to follow the command as well as practice good behavior. And it will take time, so start with practicing a few minutes each day and gradually increase your practice time because training creates a bond with you and your pet.
Now, that's where you would probably want to, again, just pause for a moment and maybe have a concluding sentence or not, say thank you, and that's when you pause. But now let's do something else. Let's go ahead and mute her audio and let's check out her slides in reverse chronological order. If any of you ever have any issues with spelling early on, it's not going to have any negative impact on your grade, but you have to be very careful in watching it. So, for instance, right here, when something like when is misspelled, double check everything. Or if you have a friend, have them look over your shoulder and double check to make certain that there are no issues with spelling. Again, don't worry about grades right now, but as time goes on, something like that will kill your credibility in the same way that a mispronunciation would. And also try to be consistent all the way through here. If you've got a period here, you should have it here and here. Attention to details matter. Now let's go back on this command. Same thing here. Double check the spelling for repeatedly because you've got a misspelling here. And then make certain that the periods are always consistent. Now, all of that being said, she really does an excellent job, Amira does, of taking her slides and putting them in a format which are not only attractive, but also gives her the opportunity, as I said a moment ago, to remain extemporaneous. And you can tell that by the way in which she comes across with her conversational approach. Teaching the stay command, I thought this one was very well done in terms of she can talk about a lot of this in detail or not, depending upon what she thinks time wise, and 4 minutes is certainly appropriate. And then the sit command, again, very attractive graphics. Right at the beginning of the speech, obviously, if you've got pets, and if you ever could look behind me to a great degree on my webcam, you could see that there's all kinds of dog toys on my couch because in our house for more than 20 years, we had miniature schnauzers. And then there is her title slide eventually. There we go. There's her title slide with her eye contact and deciding to have a setup in the bottom left-hand portion of the screen with her webcam. One of the advantages of me being able to upload her material to my Loom library is that the transcript became automatic. Let me show you what it looked like when she sent it to me just before the beginning of class. And this is where, as a media person, I always say that anything is content. So this is how she sent me the email. And I could also do this, where you can see that I'll go to the folder for the course. all of the stuff that you're sending me is winding up here or here whenever I go back to my inbox. So in Amira's case, I can take this and actually move it to the speech file, and then I come back to my speech folder, and you can see whenever I refresh it that Amira speech, which I will now star, that's what she provided to me. I downloaded it, and it wound up, as you can see, over here. Next to my pseudo shining visage with yesterday's class session, what we were doing on Tuesday, and what we were doing on Monday. So if you're ever in a position where you're sending me the actual file rather than a link, I have it covered no matter what. Our second presenter of the day, Alyssa, and I will put her tab on the screen. Something that college students are very familiar with: ramen noodles. At the beginning of every school year, it's always interesting to especially walk through the Walmart Supercenter in Magnolia, and you'll see students and their parents, and they're picking up all kinds of ramen noodles because it feels like ramen noodles and peanut butter are going to be part of a college student's existence. So let's go ahead and go to our second demonstrative speech of day 2. This is Alyssa Oliveris, and her demonstrative speech, with the transcript on the right-hand side, is how to make ramen noodles, and here it is.
Hi, my name is Alyssa Oliveris. This is the Summer 1 demonstrative speech on how to make ramen noodles. So before beginning, there are 6 essential items that one person might need to make these noodles, which would be a cooking pot, 3 cups of water, ramen noodles, seasonings, a strainer, and a stove. Before we continue, there's some additional knowledge to know about the noodles. Like, there is no right or wrong way to cook the noodles. There is simply a way you enjoy the most. Some people prefer to undercook it or overcook it or just follow completely off the packet. And all of those are okay because this is completely your own meal and you can make it uniquely yours. So to begin, you're going to want to set the stove to medium or high heat and put the pot with the 3 cups of water on the stove and wait for it to boil. While waiting, you can open the noodle packet and set the noodles in flavor pack aside in a safe and clean location until the next step. So when it is finally up to its full breach of boil, you can put the noodles into the pot and ensure that the heat isn't too high or risk burning them. After that, you can wait a minute and stir around the noodles and prevent them from burning. You can repeat this for the second minute as well, and you can add more water in if you see that the water is running low. And I recommend turning down the heat also so that the water does not evaporate and risk burning. So in the last minute, you're going to want to pull out either a noodle bowl or like a regular bowl or cereal bowl. It does not matter. Any bowl, your favorite bowl, and a fork or some chopsticks. It is completely up to you so that there is a place to put the noodles after the next step. So after those 3 minutes are over, you're going to want to turn the stove off and move the noodles off the burner. You can let them sit for a little bit before you walk over to the sink and grab the strainer to pour the water down the sink. Be careful during this step because it could burn you as the water is and was boiling. When finished straining, you can move the noodles to the bowl and get ready to add your seasonings to the noodles, and be sure that you are extremely careful with distributing it very equally because it could end up salty in some places. Here's an example of the straining of the noodles.
So, adding the seasoning packet. Keep in mind, every person's taste buds are different, so adding seasonings is going to be completely up to every person. I recommend some Cajun seasoning or garlic powder, but again, to each its own. You can add your own vegetables, you can add any seasoning, but I personally like to add a little bit of kick, spice. After these steps, you should have made, in the words of the packet, the perfect ramen noodles to eat. These steps should lead to a quick creation of a simple meal in just a little over 3 minutes. You can, of course, make it your own by adding anything. You can add chips, vegetables, seasonings, or really anything that can make it uniquely yours. Remember to enjoy every bite, but also make sure to remember to throw away all the trash that you could have possibly left behind in the process of making this meal. Of course, you need to remember that every meal is uniquely your own and to make it so. Thank you for watching.
So far, we have seen, including yesterday, 6 demonstrative speeches. One of the things that I told you about in the setup to the graded presentations were having a nice, breezy pacing to your speeches. And I think for all 6 of you so far, there are elements of that throughout. The likability, the knowledge that you provide, whether it was what you were doing yesterday or what you've been doing so far today. Little things come into play. Experimenting with, you'll notice in her case, she decides to put her webcam in the upper left-hand portion of the screen, and it's a little bit bigger than what you saw with our first speaker, where Amira had hers in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen with the webcam a little bit smaller. I would probably follow this format and have it a little bit larger so we can see your face. And you can experiment with that depending upon how comfortable you feel as the weeks go on. But ideally, that's going to be something that just becomes second nature once you leave this class, because realistically, you're going to be doing something like this no matter whether you're at SAU or someplace else where you're presenting in a video format. Now let's go to closed captioning. Let's watch the first minute as we've been doing with everyone else. Let's pay attention to the complete sentence structure. And then from that point, let's examine the eye contact and the ability to be an effective communicator.
Hi, my name is Alyssa Oliveris. This is the Summer 1 demonstrative speech on how to make ramen noodles. So before beginning, there are 6 essential items that one person might need to make these noodles, which would be a cooking pot, 3 cups of water, ramen noodles, seasonings, a strainer, and a stove. Before we continue, there's some additional knowledge to know about the noodles. Like, there is no right or wrong way to cook the noodles. There is simply a way you enjoy the most. Some people prefer to undercook it or overcook it or just follow completely off the packet. And all of those are okay because this is completely your own meal and you can make it uniquely yours. So to begin, you're going to want to set the stove to medium or high heat and put the pot with the 3 cups of water on the stove and wait for it to boil. While waiting, you can open the noodle packet and set the noodles in flavor pack aside in a safe.
Now, as we've been doing with everyone else, after the first minute, let's examine still the complete sentence structure, but also look at her eye contact. Where is she looking? The level of concentration that she has. If I wanted to nitpick, I would probably take the timer and move it to a slightly different location so it was not obstructing the view of some of these letters. But I do like the way in which, like Amira with the dog commands, the creativity that you're providing with the template, Alyssa, for the visuals, because the way in which she has this set up, a tack board, is not that unusual because many of you, whether it be you or your parents at home or in your dorm rooms, you're going to have some type of tack board that might have stuff like this, which is going to let you visualize what a recipe might be. and then having the bullet points, having them in a structure which makes sense to you, is always going to facilitate more of an extemporaneous style of speaking, because you don't want to read to us. You're not a television news anchor reading off a teleprompter. You're not a politician reading off a teleprompter. As I told you last week, every word counts. Now let's go ahead and pause. Let's take the closed captioning off. And because her presentation is right around 4 minutes, let's just go ahead and take it from this location, pick up our audio, and check how she is wrapping up her speech.
Very equally, because it could end up salty in some places. Here's an example of the straining of the noodles. So adding the seasoning packet. Keep in mind, every person's taste buds are different, so adding seasonings is going to be completely up to every person. I recommend some Cajun seasoning or garlic powder, but again, to each its own. You can add your own vegetables, you can add any seasoning, but I personally like to add a little bit of kick, spice. After these steps, you should have made, in the words of the packet, the perfect ramen noodles to eat. These steps should lead to a quick creation of a simple meal in just a little over 3 minutes. You can, of course, make it your own by adding anything. You can add chips, vegetables, seasonings, or really anything that can make it uniquely yours. Remember to enjoy every bite, but also make sure to remember to throw away all the trash that you could have possibly left behind in the process of making this meal. Of course, you need to remember that every meal is uniquely your own and to make it so. Thank you for watching.
Keep in mind, as I told you yesterday, I'm always cheating down here at the bottom because I would prefer to stop it before the video recycles. And I missed that yesterday when we were on our first speech about making buttons. But hopefully I'll get to the point where everything is set up where I am not going to have to recycle the video. Now let's examine her visuals in reverse chronological order, her conclusion, talking about the seasoning packets, and then just continuing to move back with the color motif, the design consistency with the tack board, whatever you think's appropriate. I think the way that she has this set up, as well as all of you so far, where you're writing in bullet points or you're writing in bits and pieces, that's going to make you more extemporaneous than writing in complete sentence structure. Other steps, how you begin the process, and that probably is one of the most popular brands in the United States. How to begin, additional knowledge, and then everything that you're going to need for it. And then there is her title slide. If you always wanted to check the transcript, here it is. And she certainly, as most of you have so far, are trying to be consistent in speaking in a complete sentence structure. So that brings us to our third presenter of the day. And this is Serenity Golightly. Serenity is a member of the SAU basketball team, and she is going to be giving a presentation today called The Fundamentals of Form Shooting. Her audio is a little bit on the low side. It reminds me of Charlie yesterday. So it may be a situation like Charlie, where in Serenity's case, you may want to get just a little bit closer physically to your webcam to speak, or double check the presets for the audio level on your computer. Again, it has no bearing on anyone's grade, but her audio is a little bit on the low side, at least on my computer. Our third presenter of the day for Demonstrative Speeches, Day 2, Serenity is going to be discussing the fundamentals of form shooting, and here it is.
Hello, everyone. My name is Serenity Golightly, and this is my demonstrative speech for Intro to Public Speaking. My topic will be over the fundamentals of form shooting. A little bit about why I chose this topic is because I do currently play basketball at SAU. I will be going into my sophomore season in the fall, and these fundamentals were instilled in me at a very young age, and I wanted to share these fundamentals with all of you guys today. So, what will you need? All you need is a basketball and a goal if you have one or you can access one. If not, that is totally fine. All you will need is yourself and a ball to do these basic fundamentals. So let's start shooting. Step 1 is stance and balance. You will want to stand with your feet shoulder width apart. If you're right-handed, your right foot should be slightly in front of your left. Vice versa, if you are left-handed, left foot in front of the right. You want to keep your knees bent slightly but not stiff. And you want to keep your weight evenly distributed, ready to transfer upward. This will give you great balance for when you are starting to shoot. Step 2 is hand placement and grip. Your shooting hand goes under the ball with your fingers spread comfortably. Your guide hand rests slightly on the side of the ball. Again, this is there to help guide the ball into the goal. It is not there to help you shoot it. There also should be a small pocket of air between your palm and the ball, and you don't want the ball to rest in your palm because you have less control over where the ball is going to go. I add these two videos for more visual effects. I know a lot of us learn from watching or hands-on, and so I wanted to incorporate these videos. The video on the left, you will see that I'm standing shoulder width apart. My right foot is in front of my left. My knees are slightly bent, and this is where you'll get all your power to shoot the ball going upward. In the right hand video, you will see my shooting hand under the ball. I have my guide hand on the side, and as I turn around, there's a pocket of air between the palm and the ball. Again, this gives you great control over where you're going to shoot the ball. Step 3 is shooting motion, and this is kind of where you all put it all together. You're going to start with the ball in front of your face, around your chin or chest area. You're going to bring it up smoothly in one motion, elbow in, wrist relaxed. As you extend, you release the ball at the peak of your jump. Your arm should finish in a high follow through, and when I was younger, my dad taught me that your hand should look like you're reaching into a cookie jar that's on a high shelf. And step 4 is follow through and focus. Your shooting hand should be relaxed, fingers pointing at the rim and wrist bent. You want to keep your eyes locked on target, usually the front of the rim. You're going to want to practice these shots 10 to 15 times, at least 3 to 5 feet away from the goal. Just really focusing on mechanics. Again, here are step 3 and step 4 in live action. Before I played this one, on the left, it is me bringing it up to my chin and chest area. In the video on the right, I'm going to talk about this one. This is just everything all in one motion, in a smooth motion. So from my feet all the way up to my hand, my feet are shoulder width apart, my knees will be slightly bent, my hand is underneath my ball so that I can guide it up and into the goal. So for my conclusion, great shooting isn't about flashy moves or long threes. I myself love to watch the WNBA and the NBA. They are phenomenal players, but they all started when they were young, and these are the fundamentals that pretty much every good player, good shooter is being taught. So the next time you hit a court, maybe you can remember some of these steps that I shared with you today. Thank you all for watching my speech, and I hope you have a fantastic week.
What you've noticed from virtually everyone so far, and I don't mind repeating this, is that we can tell when you've practiced because you're looking into the webcam, you're exactly set up the way you want with your visuals, and that repetition, as you see here, even though she's talking about it from the standpoint of basketball shooting, that repetition, those rules of how to maximize your efficiency as a public speaker, in this case on a webcam, are just going to become rote knowledge as time goes on. So let's take Serenity's presentation, go to the beginning, and you should do this as well. Put it in closed captioning, check out her first minute, and then mute it and examine her ability to be a quality communicator with her eye contact and her persona at the webcam.
Hello everyone, my name is Serenity Golightly, and this is my demonstrative speech for Intro to Public Speaking. My topic will be over the fundamentals of form shooting. A little bit about why I chose this topic is because I do currently play basketball at SAU. I will be going into my sophomore season in the fall, and these fundamentals were instilled in me at a very young age, and I wanted to share these fundamentals with all of you guys today. So what will you need? All you need is a basketball and a goal if you have one or you can access one. If not, that is totally fine. All you will need is yourself and a ball to do these basic fundamentals. So let's start shooting. Step 1 is stance and balance. You will want to stand with your feet shoulder width apart. If you're right-handed, your right foot should be slightly in front of your left. Vice versa, if you are left-handed, left foot in front of the right. You want to keep your knees bent slightly but not stiff. And you want to keep your weight evenly distributed, ready to transfer upward. This will give you great balance for when you are starting to shoot. Step 2 is hand placement and grip. Your shooting hand goes under the ball.
Now that we're past the first minute, examine her eye contact. You can tell that she's practiced quite a bit. My word of the week, smooth. For all of you guys, do you have that breezy pacing? Is it very obvious from the stylistic approach that she has on the webcam that she's been practicing, that she has a pretty good idea of what she wants to say? And she's also creative in the respect that, like a couple of you yesterday and today, that she is incorporating video. You did see that a little bit with Alyssa's presentation on ramen noodles, where about halfway through the presentation, you can actually see somebody stirring the ramen noodles or video of it. And in this case, she has two different steps on how you're going to shoot or have, as she says, great control over the ball. Now let's go ahead and pause it, take the closed captioning off, go roughly to about the last minute of her presentation and how she's going to be wrapping this up. So let's go ahead and take it from here and what she has to say as she concludes.
Again, here are step 3 and step 4 in live action. Before I played this one, on the left, it is me bringing it up to my chin and chest area. In the video on the right, I'm going to talk about this one. This is just everything all in one motion, in a smooth motion. So from my feet all the way up to my hand, my feet are shoulder width apart, my knees will be slightly bent, my hand is underneath my ball so that I can guide it up and into the goal. So for my conclusion, great shooting isn't about flashy moves or long threes. I myself love to watch the WNBA and the NBA. They are phenomenal players, but they all started when they were young, and these are the fundamentals that pretty much every good player, good shooter is being taught. So the next time you hit a court, maybe you can remember some of these steps that I shared with you today. Thank you all for watching my speech, and I hope you have a fantastic week.
And there she is wrapping up her speech with the conclusion. Now, let's think about her storytelling structure, how she is remaining extemporaneous, not only with the slides, not only with the way in which she has the text-image balance, but the incorporation of those videos on two separate occasions. So she has the conclusion with basically what amounts to two different bullet points. And then step 3 and step 4, live action, being able to play that. Let's go ahead and mute, play the video. This is where experimentation really comes into play. Don't be afraid to experiment in my class. I don't talk about grades all that much because my feeling is if you have a particular stylistic approach that works, the grades are going to take care of themselves. And I'll discuss that at the end of class. So there she has step 4 with the follow through, step 3, shooting motion with the bullet points to remain extemporaneous, step 1 and step 2, again with the live action on the left hand side, getting the body set up, and then she'll play the video on the right hand side. Whether you decide to incorporate video or not, whether it's cooking or crafting or sports, for demonstrating or informing or persuading or even the wild card, is totally up to you and the creativity that you bring to the process of organizing your slides. Sometimes you may need it, sometimes you may not. And then she gets into step 2 with the hand placement and the grip. Step 1, stance and balance. And of course, at the outset, with her introduction, let's make certain that she is looking at the camera. Her eyes aren't closed. There we go. So in her case, being a member of the SAU basketball team and playing, of course, in high school in Oklahoma, gives her, as I said yesterday, gravitas or source credibility as a speaker, with the transcript being on the right-hand side. Now that's going to bring us to our final presenter of the day, and this is Sierra. I will put her presentation on the screen. Her demonstrative speech is on gardening, and most of you are right around the 4 to 5, 6 minute time limit. A couple of you are around 7. Don't get hung up on time right now. I want you to feel as comfortable as possible. So this is our final demonstrative speech of the day, and this presentation deals with gardening. Here it is. And that is the end of her speech. So, and by the way, you'll notice that she has something down at the bottom. This presentation template was created by SlidesGo. A few years ago, one of my students who is now in graduate school in Florida, one of my majors who also graduated from the Honors College, she actually started putting her presentations on SlidesGo. So whatever works for you in terms of the template that you are utilizing, whether it's SlidesGo or something else or Google Slides, as we have talked about before. But if you have a green thumb, something like this would come in handy for a presentation. The one bit of constructive criticism I would give her is, if you notice, I want to say that she has her webcam in a mirror image, because it looks like her slides, I should say, it looks like her webcam is backwards because we can't read the lettering on her shirt. Let's go ahead and watch the first minute with closed captioning up. Check the complete sentence structure. Now let's watch this with the audio down. And like I said, it looks like her webcam is backwards because the t-shirt she is wearing apparently is spelling out sarcasm. The way in which she has her slides set up works perfectly for a plant-based speech because of the color palette she provides, very attractive font style, and the way that she has this set up with seed, sprout, plant, roots, leaves, flower, fruit, gives her the opportunity to talk as much or as little as she wants to about the subject. And she doesn't recommend planting sprouts. Now let's pause and go to roughly about the last minute of her speech. How is she wrapping it up? Let's take off the closed captioning. Pay particular attention to the way in which she is delivering the speech and how she is demonstrating the process of planting. And you'll notice And again, you want to make certain that, Sierra, you give an official wrap up to the speech, like a thank you. And then, as I said before, 1,001, 1,002, and pause. So make certain that you do that in the future. Got no bearing on anyone's grades this week, because the more you practice, the more polished you're going to be on the webcam. But I think as a rule, as a class, we did quite well. But that's why I'm cheating a little bit whenever I'm checking the time on the bottom of the screen, because notice with a couple of you, the time on the bottom of the screen is not syncing with what's over here, syncing SYNCING. And let's go back to the beginning of her speech. And in this case, we'll go back up to the top of the transcript, but it gives you a perfect example of how gardening is important. And there's nothing wrong with persuading us on the relevance of that. So for the last 2 days, I think we've done a really positive job of starting off with demonstrative speeches. Before we wrap things up for the week, let's return to Blackboard. And I'm going to leave it here for the time being, because I am not going to be posting grades probably until Monday afternoon. And this is where you would find the grade book. I might update the announcements, but in terms of content, let me show you something from the course syllabus, the course itinerary, how things are going to be set up for next week. We talked about this at the outset, because next week is Informative Speech Week. Research on Monday with topic selection on Tuesday. And then Wednesday and Thursday of next week, we will have the actual informative speeches themselves. And then when you scroll down to the instructor course videos, yesterday for the 4 of you who spoke, or session 7 today, whenever you are evaluating the presentations from yourself and from your peers, I always try to be positive in my comments, but I would probably go ahead and watch. Let me go ahead and click on this real quick, and let me show you in real time what we were doing yesterday, and I'll put the tab on the screen. This is what it looked like from yesterday, and I will just very quickly scroll through little bits and pieces. Now, what you're looking at is yesterday's class session. Just little bits and pieces throughout. If I wanted to go back, that was our first speaker. There's more. I'm trying to find Charlie's here. There we go. And then just continuing to move through. But if you're like me, occasionally you'll just check out different video clips from yesterday. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but at least you can see what you and your classmates are doing in real time. Now let's return to Blackboard. From this location, I will probably add more student speech video examples for next week, but I took the presentation from Maddie on how to make buttons and put that here. And if you click on that, and I show you That's what her presentation looks like on my YouTube channel. And you can go ahead and play it. There's no color banding issue, but it's right there for people to see. And talking about my YouTube channel, let me go there before we wrap up class for the day and the week. This is my YouTube channel. And as time goes on, when you click on the actual videos themselves, I will populate not only this particular YouTube channel with class sessions from summer 1 of 2025, but I will also take representative samples of what people have done, like Maddie's speech, and make it available for everyone to see. We will conclude for the week by returning to my Loom library. I wanted to come back on camera at the end of class and congratulate you on doing a really nice job during the first week. This is not easy. Online classes are never easy because you have to go back and watch the videos, examine how you're going to be performing on camera, feeling comfortable with the technology, incorporating the slides, incorporating your webcam. But I think as a whole, as I always say, and I can do it, even though it's not half full, it's almost empty. But I think we're off to a good start with the class being half full. And thank you for also making certain that you were, because many of you incorporated interactivity, plugged in your headphones, so we're not getting any issues with double audio or feedback. When you're informing, you're serving more as a teacher or lecturer. But now you've got a 3-day weekend where you can sit back, relax, maybe go to my YouTube channel or just go to Blackboard and see an example of what people have done for informative speaking. So you might want to do some preliminary research, but don't feel like you have to do anything yet because now we're into the regular rhythm of putting together your speeches one a week, whether it's 4, 5, 6, or 7 minutes. But like I said, I am a positive person. I don't get hung up on grades all that much because if you're doing the things that I think are important, the grades will take care of themselves, which more than likely will be posted sometime on Monday afternoon, right around the time I have posted the Monday class session for next week. As for SPCH 1113, Introduction to Public Speaking for the first summer session of 2025, enjoy the nice long weekend. Keep in mind, gang, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday only, and we will return on Monday afternoon. So have a nice long weekend, and we will see you on Monday.